Good evening, my name is Dova and welcome to Walking and Talking in Video Games. Tonight we'll be walking through the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild while I gently talk you to sleep, discussing whatever my ADHD brain decides it wants to think about. I'm so glad you're here and I want you to know that you are safe here and you don't have to be perfect to be loved. Now, let's get to walking. Alright, this is the first time I've played Breath in the Wild in a while, but here we are. I actually got on again for the first time a couple of days ago to try the Trial of the Sword because I've never tried it outside of Master Mode, because I had beaten the game and then I got the DLC later on. So, well, of course later on because I played the game when it first came out and the DLC didn't exist back then. But I had never, as soon as I got the DLC, I immediately went to Master Mode because I didn't want to rewrite my old save, so I was like, well, I'll just start a new save in Master Mode, and that was where I tried all the DLC stuff, like the Trial of the Sword. So I had, which is really hard in Master Mode, I had never tried it in regular mode, so I was doing that the other day, and let me tell you, it is significantly easier outside of Master Mode. Ooh. Maybe starting in Korok Forest wasn't a good idea, because I am about to get lost and forcibly put back in the middle. Let's teleport out of here. Well, no, let's explore this area for a bit. Anyway, so I live in the desert, and it randomly started raining today. We've had a drought, not a doubt, what? We've had a drought in the desert, and it started raining earlier. It started with like kind of a light sprinkling, then it progressed to more of a drizzle, but then out of nowhere it suddenly started pouring and hailing, and I like, what the heck? And my brother comes and knocks on my door after a bit of this, and he says, a rat just popped out of one of the pipes. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so he came and he showed me, and sure enough, there was a little face of a wild rat sticking out of a pipe, like it was cowering from the rain and the hail. And I feel really bad for the poor thing because it looked absolutely miserable. But my brother was worried that it wasn't alive. It looked alive to me, but it was being really still. Couldn't be 100% sure. So I tried getting close, like not super close, but as close as I could, and it didn't move. But there was foliage in the way, like plants and stuff. So I grabbed a rake, and my only intention was to basically like make it move. I didn't intend on touching it with the rake or anything like that, but just like get close enough that it might at least like twitch a little bit and so we could know that it was alive. But as soon as I grabbed the rake, it knew. It must have known because it darted away. The way that its head just disappeared into that pipe like a turtle was so funny. I mean, I felt bad for scaring it, but it was, I feel so bad for the poor thing. It looked so absolutely miserable. Poor baby. But that's what happens when you live in the desert and you don't expect it to rain. That poor little rat. And of course, because rain is like an anomaly here, everyone goes out to check it out whenever it rains. So while my brother and I were out there, my brother was wandering around the desert, like behind our house, and just checking out all the puddles basically. And we grew up in a much more humid, rainy area, so you'd think that puddles wouldn't be a unique thing. Well, I guess he spent a greater percentage of his life here than I did, but but it is still definitely interesting to see a flooded desert. It's not a common sight. Let's go ahead and teleport somewhere else real quick. I'm using a Pro controller for my Switch, and it feels weird. I'm used to using Joy-Cons, but the Pro controller feels like an Xbox controller, so I keep hitting the wrong buttons because A and B and X and Y are switched on Nintendo controllers versus Xbox controllers. So I keep pressing B when I'm meaning to press A when I'm meaning to press B. X and Y not as much because they're a little less, like A and B are very common for navigating the menus and stuff. X and Y, still common, slightly less. But, ooh, I better put on some warmer clothes. So it's really throwing me off trying to use A and B buttons. Wow. I've played so much. Well, I haven't played much Breath of the Wild lately. So it's interesting to be back here and see the divine beasts and the way that things looked in this previous version of Hyrule. No chasms, nothing in the sky. I wish there was more in the sky in Tears of the Kingdom. The sky's kind of bare, kind of empty. And also, trying to fly around, like paraglide around without Tulin to help push me forward is a little sad. Not difficult, just a little sad. But I watched a video very recently, a couple days ago, talking about the differences between, well, it was talking about how disappointed that person was in Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that they really loved Breath of the Wild, but Tears of the Kingdom was a huge disappointment to them. And honestly, I really love Tears of the Kingdom, but I played it years after the last time that I had played Breath of the Wild. So I just had that good nostalgic feel of Breath of the Wild, but not really like any expectations or like I just played this, so I know, like I remember everything and I have, well, expectations. But so whenever I played Tears of the Kingdom, I just played it for what it was. I didn't play it with the perspective of this is a sequel to, well, I did play it with the perspective of it being a sequel to Breath of the Wild, but not in a way that made me judge it harshly. And honestly, I didn't know that people were judging it harshly, but after watching that video, she had a lot of good points, and it made me realize, like, maybe I should be judging it a little bit. Well, hang on. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what I was talking about because I just had to go ask my brother to turn down the Instagram reels that he was watching because it was super loud and I was worried the mic was picking it up. But something about... So the video made me... It's not that it made me feel like I have to hate Tears of the Kingdom. Obviously, I still love it. I'm not gonna let one person's opinion convince me not to like something that I like. But it does make you think. Like, I like seeing other people's opinions on stuff like that because it makes you think. And she had some good points, especially about like, story things. Like the fact that... Oh my goodness, these wolves. Whoa. That one was tripping out a little bit. Aimed my arrow at his face and he started jiggling. But so the Sheikah technology, for one thing, where did it all go? Where did the divine beasts go? And people in Tears of the Kingdom, like the NPCs, make comments about the divine beasts and the calamity, and there's some, like, the estimate is that it's around a 6-year difference between the two games, like between the events of the two games, which 6 years is how long it took Tears of the Kingdom to come out after Breath of the Wild had come out. Oh, and also I just learned literally like 20 minutes ago that the delay, that the the release of the name, or sorry, the reveal of the name of Tears of the Kingdom was delayed because the Queen died. Like, the Queen of England had died, and they were like, well, we can't really reveal that our game is named Tears of the Kingdom right after the Queen has died. Which is just definitely understandable, totally fair. I completely understand their perspective on that. But I didn't know that. The more you know, right? Anyway. So yeah, it's just interesting. I think that I agree with her on points like that. I agree with her honestly on a lot of what she said. That the game, well, I can't remember it all now. It was a 3 hour long video. So more than I could. It's longer than my videos. And I just sit and talk about random stuff. But she strung together 3 hours worth of reasons why Tears of the Kingdom sucks, and I applaud her for that. And like I said, I don't disagree with pretty much any of what she said. I do disagree that Tears of the Kingdom is a bad game or a disappointment. Well, maybe a disappointment in some ways. I mean, that's all subjective, right? But I think that if you let it stand on its own rather than comparing it to Breath of the Wild, then it is a great game. But even comparing it to Breath of the Wild, I felt like it was a great game because it took a game that I absolutely loved and expanded on it, made it even more. And I love that, like, expanded on the areas that you could go in. Like, they added sky islands and they added the depths. One thing I do disagree on that she mentioned was that she said that she felt like the depths were pointless and she pretty much just didn't like them, didn't want them in the game at all. And I think the depths are really cool and interesting. And yes, they need more variety because in the depths there's kind of a whole lot of nothing. Like, she's right about that. But I like there, it basically just needs more. I like it as a concept, and I like the fact that I remember the first time I stumbled upon Colgera, the Rito boss, in the depths, and I had no idea that the bosses from the dungeons were, or the temples were, just hanging out in the depths. And Colgera is the most cinematic of all of them. So seeing him just flying around in the depths was in the darkness was so cool. I think stuff like that makes the depths really great, and seeing a Frox in the darkness that you can go up and challenge, or the area where the Gyptos are walking around and they're kind of like the undead, so it's like it feels like they're in their element down there. I think the depths are really cool. I think it just needed more. It needs more interesting stuff because, like I said, she is right about the fact that it's kind of boring. It's kind of samey. Once you've seen one section of the depths, you've seen it all. And she also said that she didn't like how it was an inverse of the upper world. Like, not that she didn't like it at all as a concept, but the fact that if you have like a body of water, then it's just an impassable wall in the depths. And yeah, that was definitely annoying for trying to traverse it, but I mean, I think overall it was cool. I mean, I guess what they could have done is make that just a really high mountain instead of just literally an impassable wall. But I like the fact that it made it so you had to figure out how to get around that. Like, if there was a moat around a landmass and there was only one way, you had to figure out how to get around. Or like in the depths where the King Gleeok is, maybe one of the spots, because I'm not sure if there are multiple. But in that area, it's an impassable wall, except there's an opening, because it's inside where I think there's, like I was saying, like a moat of water. So whenever you're trying to get to that area, you can see that there's something there, like on the map. But you don't know what it is, you don't know how to get there, so you have to figure it out. You have to find that opening. And I think that that's really cool. These choo-choos do not stop. But so I think that the fact that they made it like that, and then they gave you an opening to find, I really like that. Yes, it's kind of a pain in the butt whenever you're trying to get to an area and you meet nothing but wall. But it makes you be more creative. And then she also made points about how it, even though the game is about being super creative, about giving you so many options for traversing the world, you're going to revert to the tried and true air bike, hover bike, or whatever your, well, generally it's going to be that, but basically just flying around the world. And I can see why that is a criticism of the game, but I guess with that one, I don't really know how you'd fix that, because you don't want to take away that. You want to reward players for being creative. I guess the problem with that game, one of the things that I agree with that she said, well, one of the many things, is that it doesn't reward you enough for being creative. Even in the shrines, you can cheese them easily by just, a clever combination of recall and ascend, or what, alter hand and whatever. So I do agree with her. I agree with her in the fact that the game is not good about rewarding players for doing the thing that the game says they want you to do. But the whole thing about this, well, there are many things about Tears of the Kingdom that made it super exciting, and whenever we saw things in the first trailers, it was really cool. Like, watching them fuse meat to an arrow in the trailer was so wild to me, and then watching them use recall on one of those rocks that fall from the sky, it's like, that is so cool. But also in that trailer, I feel like they made it seem like that was the only way to get up to the sky, which of course it helps, but also they don't even go all the way up most of the time, so it's mostly just a good way to help you get a new vantage point to get around just the regular world, in my opinion. But because they don't really go high enough to help you get all the way up to the Sky Islands. But I think that it's really cool that they have like the Skyview towers that launch you into the sky, whereas the towers in Breath of the Wild, they only go up to a certain height, and yeah, you can glide around from there, and they are pretty high, but I mean, they don't have to be that high, because there aren't any floating islands in the sky in Breath of the Wild. You're just traversing the normal Hyrule that's on the ground and not under the ground or above the ground. So I get it. But also it's really cool in Tears of the Kingdom to be able to just dive, to skydive, and pick a point and just kind of like zoom over there. I think that's really cool. Well, I love Tears of the Kingdom for a lot of reasons, but yeah, like I said, I can understand her point. The story stuff, for sure, and she mentioned that with the tears, the actual memories that you find, they aren't... Look at me talking about Tears of the Kingdom while playing Breath of the Wild. Am I a bad YouTuber? Don't answer that question. But the fact that you can find the memories... So finding the memories out of order in Breath of the Wild, not a big deal, because as she said in the video, you know how the story ends. You know that Zelda ended up sealing Ganon away. Like, she's not here anymore. You lost your memory. So finding the memories out of order isn't a big deal because you already know what happens. But finding the memories out of order in Tears of the Kingdom spoils the story for you because everything is happening in quote unquote real time. And technically, yes, the memories are from the past, but you are learning the story in real time. The memories in Breath of the Wild were more just about getting to know Zelda and Link and their relationship and what exactly happened back then. But in Tears of the Kingdom, you're figuring out what happened to Zelda, the Zelda that we know now. So, yeah, story-wise, I can definitely understand her points, but I did still enjoy learning the story of Tears in the Kingdom, seeing Ganondorf instead of just Ganon, and... But yeah, I can understand the disappointment. But even so, as much nostalgia as I hold for Breath of the Wild, I do think that Tears of the Kingdom is just right above it in my book. There's just so many things that I love about the quote-unquote sequel to Breath of the Wild. And a lot of it is in the mechanics. Maybe it's just because I played through it more recently. I don't know. But I think that just a lot of stuff got upgraded in a lot of ways. So I appreciate that. But I do wish that they were coming out with DLCs, but at the same time, the game was already $70, so I can appreciate the fact that they don't want to do DLC for it. But anyway, let's talk about... Instead of talking about the sequel to the game that I'm actively playing, let's talk about something completely off topic. The new live-action Lilo and Stitch movie. And I won't talk about the live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie because I have not seen it yet. I mean, I've seen the original How to Train Your Dragon, so I know what happens. It's not like it's an issue of spoilers, but I can't really speak on something that I don't know. So I went and saw the live-action Lilo and Stitch, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago now. I was gonna keep the mask on, but it's making him do weird grunts that are kind of funny, but kind of annoying. And I love the stance. I love the way that he's standing. He's standing, if you're not watching, he's standing with his arms like held out like a bodybuilder kind of guy. But that's what the Lionels look like, so makes sense. So I think that this might be a hot take, but I didn't have a lot of problems with the live action Lilo and Stitch, and I think that's another one of those things that you just kind of have to take. Well, something like that is impossible to try to not compare to the original, because I mean, it was made to be, what would you even say? Not a copy of the original, not an improvement on the original. Oh great, it's a blood moon night. So it's impossible not to compare it to the original. However, obviously I was upset that they took Gantu away. I mean, Jumba didn't get to be the fun uncle that he turned into, and Gantu was supposed to be the bad guy that you feel a little bit of empathy for because he's just doing his job. But I don't mind the fact that, well, maybe I should give a spoiler alert, but I feel like in general it's kind of common knowledge the things that people had problems with about this movie. But I think the fact that Nani went off to college is not an issue. Because, I mean, it's realistic. Like, girl's gotta have a life outside of her little sister. Great. Well, let's watch the blood moon, I guess. Because now it's here. But yeah, so Nani going off to college did not bother me personally. I know my opinion is not the end-all be-all, but didn't bother me. Losing Gantu, Jumba becoming the big bad guy, who, like, in the original, he wasn't just bad to be bad. He was a scientist, and he just wanted his creation to do the thing that he wanted it to do. And yeah, the thing that he wanted it to do wasn't exactly the best, but it wasn't. He came around in the end, okay? He just wanted to see his beautiful creature that he had made get to live out its existence doing the thing that it was created to do. And what else could any scientist possibly want? And real life scientists hardly get to work on the things that they want because the government doesn't fund the things that you want to do. It funds the things that it thinks will make money. So, and maybe that was a little bit too deep of a topic a little bit raw, painful of a topic to bring up casually in a walking and talking video, but can't escape the truth. So, but yeah, so it was just a scientist who wanted to make something that the government didn't want him to make and didn't want it to fund for him. So, and it's not even like they killed Stitch. They just exiled him. But also in the live action, so I'll be honest, it's been a few years since I saw the cartoon, so maybe some of this stuff happened in the cartoon too. But why? But I don't think it did. Why would they send Jumba to go? Like, I know it was Jumba's idea. They were like, it was if Stitch lands in the water, it'll be fine. He can't swim. But then he landed on Hawaii, the one land mass in the middle of the water, which was, of course, unfortunate for them, but it's just how it goes. Tell me why now that they would trust, like, when Jumba's like, oh, send me to go get him. I know how he behaves. I can predict what he's gonna do and effectively capture him. Why would they actually trust him on that? Why? What? No sane person, no sane leader of the government would trust the mad scientist who, like, what's to stop him from taking over Earth? And I guess maybe they just don't care. They're like, whatever, that's the wild outback, the down under, who cares about Earth, Earth. But, like, he takes over Earth. He's a mad scientist. He's smart. He takes over Earth. He can get their supplies, their materials. Wait, hang on. Let's hang out with the dog for a second. And... ooh, wrong button. And then... so precious. So yeah, what's to stop him from getting supplies from Earth and taking over the Earth and then coming back to attack the place that he used to live? What's to stop him from doing that? I don't know if I'm making sense right now. I'm a little distracted by the dog. Oh. But I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, it's that to me is less egregious of an issue than the fact that they just took out Gantu altogether. Like, what the heck? What the heck? Whoa. These people are very into their conversation. I guess I'll have to hang out in here for a bit. Now I could just unequip my metal stuff, I guess. Everything that I was using was metal. Nice. You know what the world needs more of? Is arcades for adults. And stuff like that. We gamers need a place to hang out that's not overrun by children. Like, you go to a place like Dave & Buster's, super crowded, lots of kids, not a good time. However, there is a place near, or in my town, that a friend of mine recently showed me. And it is exactly that. It's an arcade for adults. Like, it's a bar. And it's not just a bar with a couple of pinball machines. Like, it does have pinball machines, but it's a bar with actual games. Like, it's got this Minecraft Dungeons game that you can play with 4 people. It's got little basketball games. It's got Mario Kart. All kinds of stuff. And it's super cool. Plus, since it's for it, the sign on the door says you have to be 21 or older, but they don't actually check. And I have seen actual children in there. Now that it's summer, I have seen children in there, but before that, it was never busy. It was never, during the school year, no kids, never busy. It was awesome. But, well, not the right time of year now, but I'll go back when the kids go back to school, and I'll get the arcade to myself. My friends and us and I, all to ourselves. But yeah, it's really cool because you can go drink, have a pizza, and go play games with your buddies. And also, I rock at air hockey. I can destroy in some air hockey. So, challenge me anytime. But I think that we need more places like that. Places where adults can just go play. Like, we don't get enough playtime as adults. I know it sounds silly and childish, but it really is important for adults to be able to play. That's why things like video games are actually good. They're healthy. And it's not healthy if you use it purely as a way to escape real life. And yes, they can provide a good sense of escapism, but if you're relying on that because the world sucks and you can't find any joy in life outside of being able to escape from it via a game, then that's obviously not healthy. But just being able to play is so important as an adult, both by yourself and with people. I have not gotten all the shrines. Forgive the shrine censor. But we need more things like that. And there are places that pop up like those axe throwing places where you can throw a hatchet at a target. And I appreciate places like that. We need more. Because when you're hanging out with your friends as an adult, what do you even do? You can go eat. You can go see a movie. You can go to the bar. What else? What else do you do? Like, say going home isn't a great option for whatever reason. Your house is messy, your wife's there, whatever. And you want to just go, or maybe you just want to go out, you want to do something. But I feel like there's just not a lot of options. Like, one of my go-tos is walking around stores, just because there's a lot to see and you don't have to, like, you can see all kinds of stuff without actually having to spend the money. And I say that as someone who doesn't struggle with like self-control buying things. Obviously, if that is an issue for you, then going to stores, going to the mall, whatever, is probably not a great idea. But I mean, I guess you could go to the zoo if your city even has a zoo. If the zoo even my pet peeve with our zoo is that it is only open on weekdays and not past 3 p.m. for some reason. It's like open during school hours only. It's like it only exists to be a field trip location for elementary schoolers, and I don't understand. Why would it not be open on at least Saturdays? What? I get that the animals need a break. That's why a lot of zoos close at like 5, but 3? Why 3? The one time I was about to go, my best friend was in town. Oops. My best friend was in town and we had plans to go to the zoo. And it was 2:30. And I looked up directions to the zoo and it said it was closing soon on the map. And I was like, what? So I looked up the hours and it closed at 3. Why? It is just crazy to me. And I know that's an issue with my personal zoo in my town. Not all zoos are like that. But still, but what the heck? It's the only zoo I have access to right now without having to drive multiple hours. But whatever. It is what it is. Now that I'm galloping with the horse, I'm remembering that whenever I first played this game, I did not know that to sprint with, or to, would you call it sprinting with a horse? No. To like do the full gallop, you had to press A again to use the spurs and go super fast. Because I was just traversing the world on what I thought was the gallop, what I thought was the max speed. And I was like, wow, the stamina's infinite, it's never going down. But turns out I just wasn't using it right. I'm finding so many Koroks now that I'm trying to not actually play the game, but I can't just leave them. It bothers me to leave them. I'll let the horse follow the path. What a beautiful game, though. And I fell in love with this game when I first played it. As soon as someone said that, well, multiple people said, but as soon as I first heard it's Skyrim but Zelda, or it's Zelda but Skyrim, however people phrased it, like Skyrim and Zelda mixed together, I was sold. And I had never played a Zelda game before, to be honest with you. I know that I am throwing myself under the bus with that, but I had never played a Zelda game before. But I had played Skyrim, and Skyrim was my all-time favorite game. So, a version of that was Nintendo, I was sold. And I was right to be excited by that. I have not... I'm not sure what I was trying to say there, actually. It's amazing. It's an incredible game. Tears of the Kingdom is also an incredible game. And... it's just... for this style of game... nothing tops it for me. And I love plenty of other games, and I don't know. Just this and Ark and Skyrim. Even though Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are similar in a way to Skyrim, obviously a completely different feel to the games. So while they can be compared, and technically they are both RPGs, I don't really feel like they belong in the same category quite. So all my favorite games are pretty different from each other if you look at it in that perspective. But what am I trying to say here? I feel like I'm out of it today. But games that are... I don't know, I think that Nintendo does a great job with a lot of things. I really wish that they would actually commit to making a Breath of the Wild style Pokemon game. I think that would be amazing. And yeah, Legends Arceus kind of followed that formula, but it's a far cry. And yes, these are games for kids, sorta. But just because, especially something like Pokemon, like, yeah, that's pretty heavily geared towards children, but that doesn't mean it has to be super easy. I mean, Pokemon Red was the first Pokemon game for a lot of people, and it didn't hold your hand and walk you through the game. My first Pokemon game was Heart Gold, But I mean, it was the same thing. It didn't, like, yeah, there was a tutorial section, but it didn't, like, hold your hand through the entire game. It wasn't full of cutscenes. Not that cutscenes are a bad thing, but not at all. They're not a bad thing. Especially if they're voice acted. Pokemon games are not voice acted, though, and that cutscenes are kind of boring when when they're not voice acted, but that's just a personal issue that I have with them, I guess. But I don't know, Pokemon games are boring. They don't break from the formula enough to be interesting, which really stinks because they have a lot of potential and it's the biggest franchise in the world. Most money making. Pikachu is either the most or one of the most popular characters, but Pokemon is the biggest franchise in the world, the most popular. Or the most money making, or both, or something like that. Even bigger than freaking Disney. That is insane. And yet they can't make a game that... They can't just make this one game that the fans want. And I know why. And it's because they want... It's because of money. Everything always boils down to money. But basically, it takes a long time to develop a game like this. And why would they spend 6 years developing a Breath of the Wild Pokemon game when they could instead pump out games every 2 years, make them crappy, but know that people will still buy them because people love Pokemon and people will buy anything that Nintendo puts out with the name Pokemon on it. I mean, it's just a sad but true reality. And there's nothing we can really do about it, as unfortunate as that is. Cass. I love this song. Didn't they take Cass out of Tears of the Kingdom? I don't remember. Ugh. How rude of me to not involve y'all in the conversation. I am so sorry. Tell me, please, who is your favorite character from Breath of the Wild, and did that character make it into Tears of the Kingdom? Because even if you tell me who your favorite character is, I will probably not be able to think of if they are also in Tears of the Kingdom. I freaking love Cass. I love this little song. It's so... It gives me like Italian restaurant vibes. No, the horse, what? Oh, my ride. Why did the horse disappear? I didn't go out of render range. Well, that stinks. It's about to thunder though. Oh, the horse was just wandering around. We're good, we're all good. Got our buddy back. Well, it says it's supposed to be storming right now, but it's oddly peaceful. Onward to victory. Do you like traveling? Now, that's not a very smooth transition to the next topic, but I was thinking, I'm very much a homebody, but there are some places that I think would be really cool to go. Like, of course, Japan. Japan would be freaking awesome, and a big part of that is just the fact that I want to go to like, the Pokemon Center. And I think there's also a Pokemon theme park there, or used to be, or something. But I want to go to the Pokemon centers and I want to see all the things and see, oh, but also it's just gorgeous there. The architecture, the scenery, the nature. It's incredible. And I would love to be able to see that in real life. And I like sometimes watching videos that are like whenever I'm not really doing anything, like eating my breakfast in the morning or whatever, I like to watch the videos that are just people walking around beautiful places, and then I can kind of put myself there mentally, imagine it's me. It doesn't work that well, but do my best. But also it helps because I really don't like crowds, so I can kind of pretend that I'm there without actually having to deal with the crowd. So that's kind of neat. But oh, there's this place in China that I recently heard about it looks magical. It's basically like all these buildings are built into cliffs, and then it just like everything is connected by bridges and like goes down the cliffs, and then there's waterfalls, lakes, some kind of water features in the middle and go down. It's just so cool, and I know I'm not making any sense right now, but oh my gosh, I want to go there, and I'm sure it's crazy full of tourists. Living there as a regular person must be awful. Well, I mean, it's good for business. The tourism industry is good for businesses that cater to that. But I don't know. I would love to go there and somewhere super tropical, like Bora Bora, or I want to stay in one of those on the water bungalows that that like not only do you wake up and you're just over the water, you're on the water, but also I like the ones that have the like see-through floor in part of it, so you can just see straight down, see the fish and stuff. I think that's really cool. But I think that the on the water bungalows are super freaking cool. Really awesome. I would love to stay in one of those. That's like a bucket list thing for me. Another bucket list thing for me is staying in an underwater hotel. That would be so cool. In my Tears of the Kingdom video, I mentioned the person that I dated in high school, or well, my longest relationship in high school. He really liked fish, and so our plan for what our honeymoon would be if we ever got married would be to stay in an underwater hotel, and I still think that would be super freaking cool, and it's definitely still on my bucket list, but I'm pretty sure those places are like $30,000 a night or something crazy like that. So, and I might be exaggerating a bit, maybe it's more like 13,000, or I don't know, I feel like I remember a 3 and over 10,000. They're really expensive, because I mean they're rare. It's a rare commodity, so of course they're gonna be expensive. She looks sad. Man, every time I see a Korok, I cannot resist the urge to go get it. Never mind, we're gonna resist the urge today. There's too many monsters around. There's the Dueling Peaks back there. I was gonna say Twin Peaks, but that's not right. That's something else. Ooh, 2 people fighting bokoblins. I feel like I've only seen the one. Oh my goodness, I need console commands for the Switch so that I can turn off the enemies being able to see me like I can with Skyrim and Ark. So I probably need to just suck it up and mod my Switch so that I can do things like that. But I don't know, every time I try to like think about modding, like anything in general, but especially since I would have to actually affect the hardware for the Switch, I get so overwhelmed, I feel like I'm in over my head, and I don't know, when I'm trying to learn how to do something new, I get very easily overwhelmed, which is not a good quality to have, but I don't know, that's just, oop, wrong button. I tried to press the A button to speed up, and I pressed the B button to hop off instead. And this is the issue of me thinking that I'm holding an Xbox controller. Maybe I just need to switch the buttons. But then, if I get used to the fact that A is here and B is here, then I'll get confused if I switch the buttons and then try to go back. I don't know. There's no answer. There's no right answer. Why did Nintendo have to make the buttons the opposite of Xbox? Why'd they have to do that? Ooh, Feroche. Feroche is the lightning one, right? Yeah, Nadra is the cold one, the ice one. And I know this. I know this. Oh my goodness. What is the name of the fire one? I know this. Dinral. I got it. He's going down. I'm yelling timber. Oh. Free ride? No, because you can't ride on them. Look how beautiful. I don't want to give up my horse, otherwise I would take the updraft. But it's not really an updraft anymore. It's going down to the water. Bye, Feroche. What a treat that we got to see the dragon. One of them, anyway. I think Dinral was around here somewhere earlier, but didn't get to see much more than a glimpse of him. There's a bokoblin up on the cliff. How did he get up there? Silly bokoblin. But yeah, I would love to stay in one of those underwater bungalows. So the things, there's not much on my bucket list that I've actually crossed off, but I have gone skydiving. I have done that. That was a very cool experience. But unfortunately, I have this issue with my brain where I struggle to understand that if I'm looking at something like incredible, like massive or far away or whatever, it's like my brain just can't understand that it's real. So when I did those things, like going skydiving, going to the Grand Canyon, I know this sounds weird, but I know logically that it was really cool. But it was just like my brain couldn't comprehend that what I was looking at was real, which made it difficult to appreciate it fully. Which kind of stinks, but it is what it is, and I still got to do those things. Another thing that would be really cool, I want to go parasailing, I want to go hang gliding. I think it would be really cool, but also kind of totally crazy to... Oh, Cass is here again. To do the... like the wingsuiting, where you put on the flying squirrel costume and jump off a cliff. Wait, no, is that base jumping? Where's Cass? I heard him. It's like he's under the ground or something. I am not sure. Oh well. I still have like 18 shrines to go on Breath of the Wild, at least on this save file. Which is kind of crazy because this is like the save file. Like this is the first one that I did. And I got all the shrines and light roots in Tears of the Kingdom. But it was also easier to find them because you could compare the location of the shrines to the location of the light roots and vice versa. But I don't know, because to find the shrines, all the shrines in Breath of the Wild without having to look up a guide, which also having to look up a guide is kind of a pain as well, because then you have to go through like every shrine, every 120 shrines to figure out which ones you're missing. And that's no fun either. Oh my goodness, the amount of Octoroks is just insane. So anyway, back to what I was saying. To be able to figure out which shrines you're missing in Breath of the Wild, it's not as simple as it is in Tears of the Kingdom for being able to like compare the location of the light roots to the shrines. You have to use a mixture of the shrine. Well, dang it. So the shrine sensor, of course, helps. And then what was I saying? Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. The constant enemies are distracting me like crazy. I feel like I had this problem less in Tears of the Kingdom whenever I was making that video. In order to oh, I remember what I was gonna say. So the DLC added the ability to see where you've been on the map, so that helps. Obviously if you don't have the DLC, you don't have that nice little bonus, but at least that helps you see where you've been, and then if there's like a big spot that you missed, then you can think, well, maybe there are shrines over there that I missed. But it's a lot harder to know because you don't really have anything to compare it to the way that you have the light roots. Because the light roots, like, you can go down into the depths, you can see where the light roots are, and you can see like where you're missing one to be able to find it, because you can see what area of the depths are not lit up in like roughly the size of the area if you only have like one left. And shrines don't work that way, so it's easier to be able to go find the light roots and then use that to compare to the location of the shrines and figure out where those are. And then like with the Sky Islands, all you have to do is, there's not that many Sky Islands, so you just have to go and check them all out. And then you can get all your shrines up there. But in Breath of the Wild, I just feel like it's a lot harder. And correct me if I'm wrong. So I might just be missing something obvious, but I don't know. Seeing Beetle reminds me of those videos where people will take NPCs to places they're not supposed to be. So I watched one a long time ago that was somebody bringing 4 beetles together, because obviously Beetle's not actually everywhere. There are multiple instances of him in the world. He's just one character, but to actually exist in the world everywhere, there has to be multiple copies of him. But as a casual player, you wouldn't know without assuming, because you can only be in one place at once. But I saw a video where somebody brought multiple beetles together, and well, I think that was pretty much the climax of the video. Like, they didn't interact with each other or anything because they're not meant to, but it was funny. Sounds like we're gonna take a peek at the, oh my goodness, why is it thundering so much? Oh, there's a shrine up there, but I've already gotten it. I guess I'll unequip the Master Sword again, so that I can function in this world full of thunderstorms. Maybe I should go to the desert. It'll be nice and sunny in the desert. Unless it's like the desert I live in which case it will also be rainy and hailing. We've come full circle. I've been wanting to come up with new ideas for videos. I like doing the walking and talking videos, but I feel like lately I've just been, well, I don't know. I feel like I don't always think of something to talk about whenever I have to whenever I feel pressure to think of something on the spot. It's a bit harder, which is why I like to have pre-written things to discuss that I've thought of throughout the week, but I have a hard time remembering to actually write things down, to actually think, oh, that's a good thing to talk about, and then write it down. So then I end up in situations like this where I'm like, what does my audience want to hear right now? What do they want to hear me talk about? And I know generally the answer is just anything and everything, which I love y'all for that. I love that you just want to hear me talk about whatever comes to my mind. But I do want to talk about things that are interesting. Actually, on that note, let me pull up my list of stories. The reason that I actually started keeping a list of story time video ideas in my phone is because years ago, there have been a couple times in my life where I was like, you know what, being a YouTuber would be cool. But at this particular time in my life, I wanted to be an animation YouTuber. The likes of The Odd Ones Out and Jaden Animations, where I would tell little stories about my life. Because I feel like I've got a few interesting ones. And I would animate it. And it would be a good time. Because I do like art. But I realized I don't like art enough to do that. And my ADHD trying to spend a month on a single video, I don't know how they do it. I am getting so sick of enemies popping up in this game. So sick. Anyway, I don't know how they do it because trying to spend a month on a single video is a lot. And, well, I do enjoy art, but I really have to be in the mood for drawing. And if I'm not in the mood, I just kind of hate life trying to force myself to do it. So I could not personally have an animation YouTube channel after all. But, and I have also thought about making stickers or shirts, some kind of merch that's little designs that I draw, but even just that, it makes me, the idea of it makes me exhausted. But there are things that I want to do, I want to make little dragon cartoon stickers, and then have that be some merch for my channel. That'll be down the line, but like I said, I have to be in the mood to make it, and that mood is rare. But one day. I forgot I'm not holding a shield anymore. So there have been so many times in this video so far that I've wanted to shield surf, and I was like, no, that's too crazy for a calm walking and talking video. But you know what? What the heck? I'm gonna shield surf. It's so much more fun. Lurlin Village. Such a nice, peaceful little town. It's my tropical oasis, my paradise. I would love to live in a beach town. Can you imagine living here? It'd be amazing. And I know beach towns are so much more susceptible to hurricanes and things. Oh, Kilton's here. Yeah, beach towns are so much more susceptible to hurricanes, erosion from waves, and things like that. But I love beach towns. I love the beach town vibe. Man, it's always raining in this game. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I just couldn't do an animation channel, and I really respect the people that do it, especially since there are a lot of animation channels now, so actually getting one off the ground, getting one to be the size of the odd ones out, a long shot. Really a long shot. So I realized it wasn't something that I was willing to put that amount of effort in. I knew I wanted a YouTube channel, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I eventually figured out that was not going to be it. It wasn't going to be that. But I went through a lot of different ideas. I think I've talked about this in another video. I won't go too in depth with it here, but I do still have nostalgia back to the time that I wanted to have an animation channel, because the feelings of aspiration that I felt make me, like, I'm nostalgic for that. I didn't actually try to have the channel, I'm not nostalgic for anything that I actually did, but just the feeling of the possibilities, what could be, was nice. Ugh. But yeah, living in a beach town would be amazing, and I know hurricanes and stuff like that, but man. And it's humid, and there's a lot more mosquitoes, but nothing beats the waves, the salty air, the breeze, the sea breeze, the laid back, relaxed vibes, the going to sit by the beach and watch the waves on your lunch break or something. Oh man, I'm romanticizing it probably more than it deserves, but man, I've just always dreamed of life in a place like that. And I wouldn't go to somewhere like LA, because, I mean, the beaches are beautiful there, but it's way too crowded. And that traffic, oh my goodness, that would be horrible for my driving anxiety. Ay. But, I don't know, maybe one day I'll win the lottery, hire a personal chauffeur. Ugh, actually, even just sitting in that traffic, not even having to drive, but just sitting in that traffic is miserable. I've been there twice, but both times I was just passing through. Leaving out of the LA port to go on cruises. Which sounds super bougie. There's always family trips. I'd love to go on a cruise, like a friend cruise one day. I think that would be super fun. But I have not had the chance thus far. Maybe one day. It'd be really cool, I think. Where is this cow going? You know what's weird is that he disappeared. But there's not a gender neutral singular word for cow, because cow is not gender neutral. It's specific to female cattle that have had a child. Now that reminds me of, every time I hear someone say something about having a child, I think of the Yoda song, the Seagulls song. And that's okay. If you haven't seen that song, you have to. It's by the YouTube channel Bad Lip Reading, and it's Yoda, singing about seagulls poking his head, but there's part of the song where he says something about lifting up a log, and there was a tiny little stick, and I said, that log had a child. And so every time I hear something like that, or I see something that reminds me of that, like a big object and then a little object that's very similar, I think, oh, that whenever I had a child. And I can't get that out of my head. Okay, here's one thing that Tears of the Kingdom does not have over Breath of the Wild, and it's bombs. I definitely miss the bombs whenever I play Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe I should be using them more to take out these enemies, but what can you do? Yeah, bad lip reading, their stuff is awesome. Hilarious. I really love a lot of the stuff they do. I haven't actually seen any of their recent videos, but they're awesome. Another downside to Breath of the Wild versus Tears of the Kingdom is I think you get a lot less arrows in general in Breath of the Wild. It's nice having arrows in Tears of the Kingdom. You can attach all sorts of stuff to them. And of course, like, there's not arrow types anymore. There's just arrows. You can attach whatever to them. But one of those is an Octorok. Why is it that I've lost all motivation to play this game calmly the way that I'm supposed to be playing it? I need to probably switch up activities, like start making some of these videos doing something, making art or something, like making some nice little Pokemon paintings or just something to get to switch up the formula, because I think that whenever I first started making these, I had at the forefront of my mind, stay calm, play through this calmly, just walk around, move the camera slowly, etc. And now, I'm walking around, picking things up. I'm talking while fighting, so I can't even cut those parts out, because then I'll be cutting out part of what I'm saying whenever I'm not supposed to be talking while I'm fighting, so that I can cut out the fights. But just jumping off things, running around, being goofy, I'm not supposed to be acting this way. I can't help myself. Wow, this puddle is so permanent that it's on the map. That's crazy. And I'm supposed to be talking more gently too. And I just can't. I'm struggling. I just get lost in the sauce, I guess. I don't know, even just saying that was stupid. Blowing up crabs is stupid. And I can't stop. I have a problem. I need an intervention. Speaking of needing an intervention, I recently realized that I have 2,000 hours in Ark. And I still crave playing it. What's wrong with me? That is definitely the game that I have put more hours into in my lifetime than any other game. Like, that is without question. As much as I love Skyrim and I've played it and replayed it and put tons of hours, I'm nowhere near 2,000 hours. 2,000 hours. That's, let me do some quick math. Hang on. That's more than 83 days straight of just playing Ark. And yet, still, there's so much that I have not done. I only have about half of the achievements on Xbox, which is where I put in most of my hours. I have 70 days worth of hours on Xbox, and the others are on Steam. But I still only have about half the achievements. on Xbox. And there's a lot of stuff that I've never done on my own, like with just my own dinosaurs. Like a lot of stuff was friends who were more advanced than me would be like, hey, come do this boss with me, and I'd be like, okay. And so I'd bring my mount, but then like most of the army would be theirs, and I want to do it with my dinos, like my Rexes that I specifically tamed and bred and picked out the best stats. And I like breeding for good stats. I do. I like the RNG of it. I recently saw a fact that this is related, I promise. That we get addicted to things that only reward us sometimes. Oh wait, oh no, this was in the Tears of the Kingdom video actually, because she was talking about how the caves don't have enough rewards, but like they shouldn't all have rewards. They should only sometimes have rewards, because if they all had rewards, they'd get boring. If none of them had rewards, they'd get boring. But if only sometimes they had rewards, you'd be constantly looking in every cave to try to find something good. And she mentioned how that's how we get stuck in a cycle of... It's why people are addicted to gambling or toxic relationships, because we only get the rewards sometimes. And even though that sounds on paper like it wouldn't be addicting, it is. And if you really think about it, like, yeah, it feels... because it feels so rewarding when you finally do get that reward. You do get that good thing. And that's such a sad fact, especially with the toxic relationships part, but it's so true, unfortunately. So, which, leading that back into Ark, that's why, oh my goodness, these thunderstorms, goodness great. Am I just in a bad place? Does it always thunder here? But yeah, leading back to Ark, that's why it's so addicting to, well, I'm not gonna say addicting, okay, yeah, it was just that place that's super thundery. That's why things like breeding in games and stuff like that is, or even breeding in real life, like people who breed for specific color traits, patterns, whatever, of animals, it's addicting because it's the RNG factor. I probably should be using a more powerful bow, so then I wouldn't be wasting as many arrows. But the part of me that wants to preserve my good bows for like an actual serious fight says no. But then I'm wasting more arrows by... oh my goodness, these guys. But yeah, so that's also why, like this little mobile game that I sometimes play called Dragon Veil is, like, a significant part of that game is breeding dragons, and it makes you want to come back and keep trying to get the good ones, because you don't know what you're gonna get, and it feels good to finally get the good ones. But like, and then like collecting Pokemon cards, I collect Pokemon cards, and it's so fun to open the packs because you don't know what you're gonna get. Oh, ow. Hey, I'm getting down the mountain really fast though. It's kind of awesome. See, that was not fitting for a sleep video, but it was so much fun. I have a problem. Hello again, Lurelin Village. Is it always sunny here? Maybe I should just stay here. I'm so sick of the rain. Wait, no, it rained earlier. It's not always sunny here. Maybe we should go to Rito Village. Oh, no, we were in Rito Village earlier. That's the first place I teleported to. And also the only place I teleported to. We've been doing pretty good about not having to teleport too much. Not that teleporting is a bad thing, it just kind of interrupts the flow, you know? What is that fire over? No, because this is where I've already been. Alright, time to teleport. We're at not technically a dead end, but a little bit of a dead end. Maybe we should go to Eventide Island. Does it take away? No, it stops taking away your stuff after you beat it the first time, right? Yeah. No, let's go somewhere else. Let's go to I guess we could go to the... Is it the Elden region? The Elden Ring? Oh, I should have changed my armor. That's okay. I've got time. I feel like there's a lot of armor upgrades I still have not gotten in Breath of the Wild as well. But who has the patience for that? Plenty of people. I'm not a 100%er. I don't 100% games the way a lot of people do. Oh gosh, I'm gonna catch on fire. Put on our flame-proof stuff. There we go. I'm also not a collector of every piece of armor for most stuff. Like, the Flamebreaker armor, the helmet just looks kind of silly. Therefore, I have not bought it. Same with the Zora armor. Kind of funny looking. But then, like, the stuff that just kind of changes his hair a little bit, like, is not... Like, I think that stuff's fine. What on me is... Is it just me that was catching on fire? Yeah. I also like that in Tears of the Kingdom, you can attach a cart to your shield, so shield surfing doesn't break your shield as much, at least. I appreciate that. Hey, we're so close to the Divine Beast. Where is the town? I was sitting here pressing A, thinking it was going to make me jump. It's like I've never played this game before. Also, the Leviathan skeletons in this game, where did they come from? What were they? What kind of creature? Like, I know they're just there to be a mystery, but like, really, what would that creature have looked like? It would be super cool. Can you imagine creatures of that size? And maybe it's like actually in Zelda lore and I just don't know. Because I don't know much Zelda lore. I mean, what kind of creature could that have been? That was a good question. I think that's something that the girl who made the Tears of the Kingdom video mentioned, was that she thought that part of us getting the sequel for Breath of the Wild was going to lead to answers to things like the Leviathan skeletons, but no. Because why would it? It would be nice to have answers to stuff like that, but that would be asking for too much, I suppose. But yeah, no, actually, I like this game a lot. And nothing's gonna stop me from liking Tears of the... Wait, this isn't Tears of the Kingdom. Anyway, nothing's gonna stop me from liking Tears of the Kingdom. Relaxing. I'd love to go to some hot springs in real life sometime. Actually, this sound is kind of annoying. Maybe we get out. Well, we healed a bit. I love hot water. Like sitting in hot water. Like hot tubs, baths. I bet hot springs would be awesome. Or is it down there? It is down there. Okay. Whee! Goron City. What an interesting little town. Something about the music here just reminded me of Poke Park on the Wii. And I don't remember if it's Poke Park or Poke Park 2, because I don't know which one it's reminding me of, but something about it is giving me vibes of Poke Park. Maybe also the lava area? I'm not even sure, but it's giving Poke Park. You ever say something and you just make yourself cringe? Yeah, the fact that I just said it's giving made me cringe. Why did I say that? Ugh. I know I feel like such an old lady whenever I cringe at new slang, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha slang. But I can't help it, and now I understand old people. Well, I guess saying I understand old people is a bold statement, but But the longer I live, the more I understand, which it obviously makes sense because, you know, the older you get, the more you understand people who are older. See, this Flamebreaker helmet is just not very cute. Sorry, forgive me for talking about things on screen, but basically it's like if you put a jail cell on your face. No, I get it's kind of like a football helmet mixed with a welding helmet, I guess. I don't know. Mixed or like a football helmet. No, like yeah. Like a football helmet mixed with a diving helmet, like those old diving suits that are like metal for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. It's ugly though. Why do they make this metal out of armor? I mean, out of armor. What? Why do they make this armor out of metal? Because it's fiery here, so it just gets super hot. What's the point? Wouldn't it just make it worse? As someone who lives in Texas, I know about how hot metal things get when it's hot outside. They get quite painful. So I don't think wearing hot metal is a good idea. But I don't know, who am I to question the logic? Life is so much more peaceful when you're walking around a village and monsters don't spawn here. I love it. Oh, back to Poke Park. Has anyone else played that game? I feel like I never hear anyone talk about it. But I liked that game a lot, and I think that I ended up getting it. I don't remember why I got it. I like bought it for myself off of eBay whenever I was maybe in middle school or high school. I liked it a lot. It's just, man, I miss the days when I could just sit around playing video games and not have to care about much of anything in the world other than just doing a good job in school. Ugh, I hated school though. I hated school with a passion, a fiery passion. I wouldn't go back to that point in my life, but I do miss not having to worry so much about surviving. That, well, not in the same way, I guess. Definitely had its rough patches, but at least I wasn't stressed about money. That's like the big thing. When you're a kid, you dream of having a job that pays a lot of money, being a doctor. I wanted to be a veterinarian. You dream of being an astronaut, being a lawyer, being the president. And then you actually grow up and you realize how hard it is just to get a job that pays you enough for a studio apartment. Especially if it's pet friendly. Oh my goodness, don't get me started. It's sad. That's just the state of the economy. I'm not gonna get too much into that because I'm gonna make myself sad. You don't want to hear that. But man, miss when life was easy and I could just spend my allowance on Pokemon cards. I would save up until I had $90 and then spend it all on a booster box of Pokemon cards. Back when you could get a booster box for $90. Man, those were the freaking days. Getting a booster box of like the Heart Gold Soul Silver sets, the X and Y set, or the Black and White sets. I don't think I got a booster box of X and Y, but Heart Gold and Soul Silver, X or Black and White. I should have kept my Dragon's Exalted booster box or my Platinum Arceus boot. Any of them really would have been worth so much nowadays, but I can't deny that I had tons of fun opening them. And you were kind of guaranteed to pull a couple of really good cards because each booster box, the odds of getting an ultra rare card were about 1 in 9. Like 1 in every 9 packs would have, you know, back then it was like level X cards and then prime cards in the Heart Gold Soul Silver sets and the legend cards that were 2 halves of 1 card. And then in X and Y it was EX cards, which they've brought the EX thing back several times. But so you were in a booster box which had 36 packs, you would get about 3 to 4 ultra rare cards. And it felt so good to pull one. Man. Almost kind of an indescribable feeling. Just the like, and the pride of like, you pulled this Gengar level X. It's yours. You pulled it. It's not the same when you just buy a card by itself. I am totally a Pokemon card nerd. But I like, it's the thing that I collect. I like it. Anyway, I have been meaning to answer a question from someone who left a comment on my last walking and talking video, and every time I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna answer it whenever I get this far into the video, and then I like get that far, and then I'm talking about something else, and it just totally slips my mind. So we're gonna go ahead and answer that question. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, but this question is from Ben Jasmine. How did you figure out your voice was good for making people sleepy? That is a good question. I answered this a bit in my comment reply to that question, but basically, I had started off my YouTube journey by trying to make, well, I went through several different things. I tried to make like life advice videos, and I tried to make high energy content, nerdy type videos, like things geared toward anime and games and stuff like that. Nothing was really fitting, and I realized that that high energy content was wearing me out. And at some point I decided, like, I'm gonna try making meditation videos. And I made a couple, and I had some friends who, like, I had told about my channel, and then they watched them, and one of them told me that during one of my meditation videos, which this was just supposed to be like a 10-minute listen and like actually meditate type video, he told me that my voice was so calming that he fell asleep really fast. And then I was like, oh, well, at first I was like, oh, well, screw me then, I guess. Like, this wasn't supposed to put you to sleep. I guess I'm boring. But then, I was having trouble for a while falling asleep. It was taking me a while to fall asleep, basically. And I came across this YouTube channel that told sleep stories that were, like, I had searched, no, I don't remember. I think I had come across a channel that made sleep stories, and I was like, I wonder if there's a channel that has made sleep stories for something that I'm into. So I searched for Skyrim sleep stories, and sure enough, somebody had already made that. So I was very intrigued by that and decided to try that out. I made my own sleep stories for a bit, but I don't know, it just didn't really feel like it fit. I enjoyed making them, and I liked being able to, like, be calm but still entertaining with my content, but it just didn't feel quite right, and I didn't really like reading out loud instead of just talking. For some reason, it's easier. I don't stumble over my words that often, but if I'm trying to read something out loud, I mess up so much. I don't know why, but I just really struggle with that. and I still do like a little bit of that type of content. My reading game lore series that I've done so far, I've only done Skyrim books, but I plan on doing an Arc one soon. But reading a story out loud was just a lot more difficult for me, and I didn't love it enough to for it to not feel like so much of a pain. But at some point I came across this YouTube channel. I was looking for channel ideas still, because I was like, well, this isn't working out, what else can I do? And I literally searched weird and unique YouTube channels, and there was like a list, one of those BuzzFeed article type lists. It wasn't actually a BuzzFeed article, but something like that, talking about unique and interesting YouTube channels, like weird YouTube channels. And one of the channels on the list was this person called Benjamin Bennett. That's his channel name, and that I'm sure that's his actual name. Well, it might not be, who knows. But so I looked into his channel because it was saying that he makes videos where he just walks around and talks about life. I was like, what? What is that? And so I looked into it and I watched one of his videos and I was like, this is kind of interesting. And I'm not sure exactly how I came to this idea, but I was like, oh no, I came across another YouTube channel as well called Mad Morph, and he was playing games but to help you fall asleep. So he was basically playing games in a relaxing way, like playing cozy games and playing them calmly with a soothing voice, like soothing, talking through the game. And somehow I had the thought, what if I mix these two things? Like I've been told by people in the past that they like my voice, and then that one person had told me that my voice had put him to sleep. So I thought, well, maybe if I just talk about whatever, not only will I not have to come up with like specific, I still have to come up with video ideas because I have to come up with what I'm going to, like some different topics to talk about and like what game I'm going to play. But I could just, felt like I could be a little more free with my, I don't like having to write a script. So this gives me the freedom to just go into this kind of without planning, which is totally my chaotic self's preferred way of doing things. But I told myself that I would try making videos like this a few times, and then if I got a comment, like if they did okay, basically I told myself once I got my first comment saying that like my video helped someone, then I would know I was on the right path. So I told myself I was gonna make a few videos like this. If they didn't work out, I'd find something else. But on the first video that I made that was a walking and talking type video, I was walking through Ark Survival Evolved and talking through it, talking about life, as I am doing in this one. It got, my videos were getting like 5 to 10 views per video at the time, and that one got 100 views, and that first video got my first comment where somebody said something along the lines of, "This helped me so much, thank you." I will never forget that first comment. And that was when I knew I was on the right path. And even if it was just for that one person, I was gonna keep making these videos. So, to answer your question to bring a long story to a short summary, it was a bunch of trial and error. but in a mix of not really knowing what I wanted to do, trying a few different things, but also knowing that people found my voice soothing. And then once I had that first comment telling me that my content had helped them, that was when I knew. And that was when I knew that not only was I doing a good thing, but that like this, I could do this. This was something that I could turn into something great. So that's how I ended up doing this. That's how I found out that my voice was calm enough to put people to sleep. And I guess that my ADHD brain, which just rambles on about the most random stuff, was entertaining enough to keep people engaged. Because it's a little bit of an art to try to make sleep, well, any kind of content is an art, of course, and trying to keep sleeping people engaged is easier than trying to keep wide awake people engaged. But so I commend anyone who makes like the high energy stuff. I did that for a bit and it just burnt me out so fast. This doesn't burn me out the way that burnt me out. But the art of it is you have to be entertaining but not exciting. Like if you're too hyper, if you're too, like say you're telling a sleep story, it can't have a lot of twists and turns, because then people, as they're trying to fall asleep, they'll be like, if they miss something, then they'll be confused, or if it's too exciting, then they'll be too focused on that and not like falling asleep. So it has to be engaging enough to keep people's brains intrigued in what's going on, but not excited. And that's why I say it's an art, because you have to kind of balance the two things perfectly. So, and not that I feel like I'm perfect at that, 'cause I don't even have a strategy when I do these, really. I just kind of go into it thinking, I'm just gonna talk about whatever I find interesting to talk about, tell stories from my life, ramble on about whatever comes to my mind. And it's not even, they say that you should make videos that you would watch, like make the videos that you want to see. And yes, I did find the similar types of videos to what I do because of a need that I had, because I was having trouble falling asleep. But when I don't know, I don't like listening to my own videos because it's me. I already know what I've said. Like I don't find it entertaining because I already know all the things that I'm saying. But not a lot of other people are doing things like this. But I do like Mad Morph's videos, the guy that I was talking about that plays games and like uses his soothing, calming voice to put you to sleep because he has a really nice voice. But he doesn't like talk about life the way that I do, except for at the end of his videos whenever he's answering questions. But so there's not really like something for me to compare it to. I couldn't really like say if I would want to listen to someone. I don't like having lights on when I'm sleeping, so the actual watching the game part is not something that I would really pay attention to. I would just have my phone screen off or face down, whatever, listening to a video like that. But yeah, I don't know. And I don't listen to videos like this every night. But so I do definitely see the wisdom in the fact that you should make videos that you want to see. But also I think that if you're good at making a type of video that wouldn't necessarily be something that you would personally watch, that can also be a good thing. And that's kind of the situation that I'm in now. People like what I make, but it's not really something that I personally would, well, sort of, because like I just said, I watch Mad Morse videos, but I don't know. I don't know, because it's not something that I went into it thinking, I want to see this type of video, so I'm going to make this type of video so that it exists. But yeah, long story short, that's how I end up here. In this position, knowing that my voice is able to put people to sleep, which I think is kind of a powerful thing. I think it's kind of cool that I've developed or discovered that superpower. But I don't know. It also means that I am not very suited for the exciting content, which works out. Because, like I said, it burns me out a lot faster trying to do the exciting content. I just can't. I'm a silly person. I own that, and I'm proud of that. But I can't really, like, feign excitement. And it's not that I, like, wasn't excited when I was making those videos. But I just can't stay like hyped up like that. And like I said, writing scripts and stuff, it's kind of weird because I like writing, but I hated writing scripts. And I don't even know why, because I also kind of enjoyed writing them. Like, I liked making them fun and goofy and engaging, but the actual process of writing them, like staring at that blank page, trying to figure out what to write. Man, starting over every week with a blank slate was just not fun. And I still do the starting with a blank slate thing here with these videos, because I don't know what I'm gonna say until I say it. But at least it's, with these, once I get going, I can just kind of keep going. And, which I think is another, like, superpower that I've discovered in myself, the fact that I can just talk for 2 hours straight to myself. I'm happy that this has worked out. I really feel like I've found my place on YouTube. I don't know if it's my calling in life. I mean, it could be. I'm helping people, and that's all I've ever wanted to do, so maybe this is my calling in life. But I really feel like I've found my place and somehow created my own, with inspiration from others, created my own thing. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what we've built here, the community that we've established and gathered, and I'm happy that I've met so many awesome people. And I'm looking for a dog and there's no dogs. I'll just take pictures of the horses. But I'm so happy about all the people that I've met, and I love you all so much. I think you're all super awesome, and I love that you comment on my videos and you talk to me, you appreciate what I do and engage and ask questions. I love that. And the suggestions too, I love the suggestions. I'm happy. I love what we've built here, and I appreciate you all so very much. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it here. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I appreciate you very, very much, and I'm happy with what we've built here. I will see you in the next video. I hope that you have a wonderful night and that you sleep well. Good night.